Hi, this is Jeremy Schiefling, the founder and chief nerd of Break Into Tech, and I'm here to help you figure out whether you should consider a career in business development, or BD for short. Let's start with the pop quiz. So what is the foundational essence of BD work? In other words, which of these functions best captures the reality of biz dev in the tech world? Now, while biz dev is often a glorified title for sales in the rest of the world, in tech, it's actually more like bartering. And I know that sounds strange, but bear with me. Because from the earliest days of commerce, bartering has been the way that people with complementary goods or services do deals, even without exchanging a single cent. And it turns out that even the richest tech companies prefer to barter. To understand why, let's look at a sample BD Pro. So Shepard Smith is a Haas alum who works on Google's biz dev team. And while Google is the world's most used search engine today, that wasn't always the case. Because back in the early 2000s, Google had a tough problem. On the one hand, it had the world's most effective search engine, but on the other, it had a tiny number of users compared to a search giant like Yahoo, which actually had a pretty terrible search engine at that time. So Google faced two paths. It could do the classic PM thing and try to build new features and new virality that would attract more users, but that could still have taken a generation, given Yahoo's massive head start. Or it could have done the classic sales thing and just try to win over new enterprise clients one by one. But that linear approach would certainly have taken forever. So instead, Google's BD team approached Yahoo and proposed a simple barter. Google needs more users, and Yahoo needs a better search engine. So what if we combine forces? For the next year, Google will power Yahoo's search engine, and both companies will have their problems solved. And sure enough, through this partnership, Google was able to reach many more users and customers than it ever would have had by traditional means. And of course, the rest is history. All powered by a barter, not a sale. So that's what biz dev is all about, finding that win-win space where two companies' strengths and needs come into a perfect alignment. But why would someone want to get into biz dev in the first place? Well, the answer lies in the fact that many MBAs love building relationships and doing deals, but they just don't love the idea of doing sales. And so biz dev is the perfect end around. Because just like sales, you get to spend your day meeting people, building rapport, bringing new opportunities to fruition, but you don't do it with the anchor of a quota hanging around your neck. And you can do it with way more creativity and a focus on producing results for both parties versus just putting points on your own board. So that's what biz dev is all about, but what does it look like on the inside of a tech company? Well, like any tech role, biz dev is incredibly cross-functional. You start by working with a product manager who has a specific business goal, whether it's driving more growth, more engagement, more revenue. And then when you found a great partner to help achieve that goal, you work closely with the legal team to negotiate a contract that keeps both parties happy. And finally, as you rise up the ranks, you'll have a chance to mentor and guide up-and-coming BD pros looking to follow in your footsteps. To see what this all looks like in action, let's look at a sample project. So let's imagine that you're in charge of BD for the Apple Car team. And while your team has a killer product on its hands, hopefully, there's just one problem. People only buy cars after taking a test drive, and Apple has exactly 0 dealerships. So instead of building out dealerships over the course of a decade, you decide to find an elegant BD solution with the perfect bartering partner. In this case, you scan the landscape and realize that existing dealerships aren't going to be a good fit because they're direct competitors. A purchase of an Apple car is one less purchase of a Ford or a Tesla or something else. On the other hand, car rental agencies have just as many physical locations, but their business could actually be a complement to Apple's, not a substitute. And that's because Apple's strength, a differentiated premium product, is also the car rental company's biggest weakness, since car rentals are largely a commoditized experience. So, once you start doing some research into the industry, you realize that Hertz would be the most interested in getting access to a unique product like the Apple Car, since they already try to differentiate their service via brand and premium pricing. And then before you know it, you're reaching out to their leadership and making a pitch. What if, in exchange for exclusive access to the Apple Car for 2 years, you allow any prospective customer to test drive the Apple Car at one of your Hertz facilities? So just like Singular's deal with the original iPhone, you patch up their weakness with your strength and vice versa. And then, because this is tech and talk only matters so much, you go the final step towards getting results for both parties. You build a project plan for all the key stakeholders, you set clear milestones and benchmarks, and then you manage it all the way from rollout to execution. So that's BD in action for you, and here's how BD gets judged on those results. Now, while the early stages of a BD deal may be the most fun, they're also the most table stakes of the entire life cycle. That's because anyone can schedule a couple of lunches and come up with a deal in theory. The real challenge is turning that relationship and theory into a real deal with real results. And that's why there's such a premium on actually closing deals and then a project managing them all the way to execution. As for how BD pros do this, here are some of the biz dev tools of the trade. So again, the early stages of deal formation require some mandatory skills. You must know your way around industry research like Forrester or Gartner so you can understand domains different from your own. And of course, you've got to be a LinkedIn ninja so you can quickly pinpoint and engage the exact right stakeholders. But then, if you want to move a deal to fruition, having a little understanding of both negotiation principles and legal writing can certainly be helpful, as well as knowing your way around a project management tool like Jira or Microsoft Project Management to shepherd the project plan all the way to the finish line. Okay, so all that said, how do you know if biz dev is right for you? To find out, let's think through all the key characteristics of the role one by one by one. So first of all, do you love the idea of bartering for mutual gain versus just traditional one-sided sales? Some MBAs just love going out there and closing deals, making revenue, but others might want to find that place where both companies can win, and that's biz dev. And then, are you okay with shaping a creative deal, but not necessarily enjoying the direct financial rewards like a sales bonus or the President's Club? And then, are you comfortable working with people across the organization no matter their function? Everyone from very technical product managers to highly technical and specific legally focused folks and everyone in between. And do you have experience with everything from industry research and cold outreach to high stakes negotiations and complex project management? And finally, do you have strong research and LinkedIn skills, as well as a bit of project management tool know-how? If you answer yes to most, if not all of these questions, chances are that you have what it takes to break into BD. But to find out for sure, you definitely want to sort of focus on alumni who are already in these roles today, people who have been there and experienced this role firsthand. And if you talk to them and give them a chance to assess your candidacy, and they tell you there's a good fit, chances are you have a good shot at breaking into the space because they represent the voice of hiring managers in the biz dev world. So get started exploring this world, talk to alumni, learn from biz dev pros, and here's wishing you tremendous success in your adventure.